With a bold mandate, Donald Trump shuts down $37 billion automakers. Trump's declaration that all cars sold in America must be made in America has rocked the global auto industry. This audacious move is making international automakers reevaluate their approaches and posing concerns about trade disputes, car prices, and the future of American manufacturing. Will this result in a revival of manufacturing or financial difficulties for consumers and automakers? Let's get started. What's going on? Foreign automakers have been the mainstay of the American auto industry for many years. Businesses such as Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW have established a strong manufacturing presence in the United States. These businesses greatly boost the local and national economies, in addition to creating thousands of jobs. Even though cars are made in the United States, a sizable amount of their production is still done abroad. This has made it possible for international businesses to take advantage of cheaper labor costs, lower tariffs, and other advantageous circumstances outside of the US. Both international automakers and American consumers, who have long benefited from a wide selection of cars at affordable prices, have benefited from this dynamic. President Trump, however, is now altering the rules. According to his recent order, all automobiles sold in the US must be produced domestically. This is a directive, not merely a recommendation for policy. Trump is demanding that foreign automakers relocate their operations to the United States, completely altering the production paradigm that has dominated the automotive industry for many years. These businesses must move all of their operations inside American borders if they want to keep selling in the country. Although it might initially appear to be a political move to strengthen the domestic labor market, there are significant ramifications. This poses a threat to both the long-standing economic ties and the current state of international manufacturing. What are the implications of this change for customers? Will this lead to a sharp increase in car prices? What will happen to the enormous foreign manufacturing investments in the United States? The stakes are high, and this policy will undoubtedly cause significant changes in the global auto industry. Trump's insistence that all automobiles be produced in the US has completely upended foreign automakers. Will these businesses, however, abide by the new rule, or will they rebel against it? Let's examine the responses of international automakers to this audacious directive. The Made in America movement. Get ready, foreign automakers. Trump's new policy will completely alter the landscape. For many years, companies such as Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW have adapted their production methods to incorporate both domestic production and sourcing from foreign factories. They found that this model worked well, with each company finding a balance between using foreign facilities to control production costs and building cars in the United States to capitalize on local demand. But Trump's new approach goes beyond merely promoting neighborhood gatherings. He is adamant that these businesses move all of their manufacturing, including parts, to the United States. The requirement requires that all stages of the manufacturing process, from the initial design to the final assembly, take place in the United States. It goes beyond simple vehicle assembly. Let's examine BMW as an illustration. Approximately 60% of BMWs sold in the US are currently produced in Spartanburg, South Carolina. However, Trump's latest demand mandates that even their high-end models, like the 7 Series, be produced domestically. This is a significant change. BMW will now have to relocate its high-end models, which were previously made in Europe, to the United States. This also holds true for other foreign producers, such as Volkswagen, which currently assembles more than 90% of its cars in North America. The policy will still require Volkswagen to further integrate their operations within the United States in a way that could disrupt their global supply chains, even though the company may find it easier to adapt than other manufacturers due to the high degree of localized production. The world will undoubtedly react significantly to this daring change in policy. What reaction will the rest of the world give to this American challenge? Let's examine how Trump's new policy will affect other countries. Worldwide reaction could. A trade war that alters the global market forever be sparked by Trump's Made in America policy? International automakers and governments have responded to Trump's announcement in a flurry of ways. Nations that have made billions of dollars in investments in the US market, including South Korea, Japan, and Germany, are already on high alert. Foreign automakers are directly challenged by the Trump administration's policy, which is causing them to reevaluate their approaches in the biggest auto market in the world. Consider Germany, which is home to well-known automakers like Mercedes-Benz and BMW. With their cars assembled locally and essential parts sourced from around the globe, these businesses have long benefited from US manufacturing. However, as a result of Trump's order, these manufacturers will now have to start from scratch in the United States or risk penalties. This involves altering the entire supply chain model that has been effective for many years, not just moving assembly lines. For companies like Toyota, which are well known in the US auto industry, the stakes are even higher. Toyota has made significant investments in American factories, but they run the risk of being shut out of the US market if they don't comply with Trump's demands. This leads to a huge conundrum. Either adapt to the new regulations and pay for moving their business, or risk offending their biggest and most lucrative clientele. An even more important question is raised by this impasse between American and foreign automakers. Will Trump's action restore American manufacturing leadership, or will it lead to a trade war that burdens manufacturers and consumers? After observing the reactions of foreign automakers and nations, let's examine Trump's overall economic strategy and the implications of this decision for American manufacturing going forward. The economic strategy of Trump's advocacy of Made in America automobiles, has the potential to transform the American economy as a whole, not just the auto sector. Trump's announcement is the result of a much more comprehensive economic plan intended to boost American manufacturing. American businesses have been shifting production abroad for decades in an effort to find better working conditions and cheaper labor. As a result, there have been factory closures, job losses, and a sharp drop in domestic manufacturing. Trump's Made in America policy aims to reverse this trend by lowering the United States' dependency on imports and bringing jobs back home. This action is a component of Trump's larger plan to support economic nationalism and boost American industry. He intends to restore factory jobs in areas severely impacted by deindustrialization by compelling foreign automakers to relocate their operations to the United States. A rebound in manufacturing activity would be advantageous for states that have long suffered from factory closures, such as Michigan, Ohio, and South Carolina. However, there are still big obstacles to overcome. Even if production rises, the number of jobs created might fall short of expectations due to the rise of automation and advanced manufacturing technologies. To make sure that American workers are ready for this change in production, high-tech skills and training programs will be essential. The audacious Made in America slogan could lay the groundwork for a new industrial revolution in the United States. However, it will take time to determine whether this approach can successfully navigate the upcoming obstacles. The next question, as the discussion of Trump's economic plan progresses, is how this action will impact regular consumers. Will this change result in cheaper autos, or will buyers have to pay more and have fewer choices? How about international automakers? Foreign automakers have been given a deadline: either meet Trump's demands or risk being shut out of the American market. The global automotive industry is being rocked by Trump's announcement. Companies that have historically relied on domestic manufacturing in the United States, such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and Toyota, are currently in a vulnerable position. The requirement that all automobiles sold in the United States be entirely produced in the country poses a significant obstacle for these businesses, many of which have spent billions of dollars on foreign manufacturing facilities. Consider BMW. Although a sizable percentage of BMW's automobiles are currently made in the United States, roughly 60% of all American sold BMWs are put together in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Trump's policy requires more. Even the most expensive models, like the BMW 7 Series, which are currently made in Europe, must now be made in the United States, he demands. This might signify a substantial change in BMW's approach and business practices, particularly in light of the specialized procedures needed to produce luxury cars. However, Volkswagen already assembles more than 90% of its cars in North America, which may appear to be a step in the right direction toward Trump's directive. However, it would be very expensive to increase production above their current capacity. Large investments may be required to build new plants or greatly expand current facilities, and customers may be charged for these expenses. Toyota has comparable issues. Given their significant presence in the US, Toyota will now need to reconsider their approach and make sure that all of the parts for their US models are sourced from US factories. To put it briefly, foreign automakers are now faced with a difficult decision: either move all of their production to the United States or risk fines and trade restrictions that may limit their access to the rich US market. The result of this conflict could fundamentally alter the automotive industry worldwide. American businesses are keeping a careful eye on the situation as foreign automakers struggle with this new directive. Is now the time for them to overcome? Let's examine how this change could help American automakers. The prospect for American automakers. Will American automakers take advantage of this fantastic opportunity that they have been waiting for? As international automakers find it difficult to adhere to Trump's new Made in America policy, American automakers might have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to control the market. Ford, General Motors, and even Tesla may be able to increase their market share in the automotive industry as a result of the policy's strict requirements for foreign brands, especially if those manufacturers increase their prices or reduce their output. For instance, Ford has been focusing more on producing American-made SUVs and trucks, which are very well liked by American consumers. Ford might fill the void left by foreign brands lowering their offerings or raising their costs. Ford may find that the policy's emphasis on "Made in America" helps sell its cars by positioning them as genuine, premium American-made automobiles. Ford could guarantee that their cars stay reasonably priced while still satisfying the rising demand for goods made in the United States if they placed more of an emphasis on domestic manufacturing. Despite its long-standing emphasis on electric vehicles, General Motors may profit from this change as well. GM may be able to reach a wider range of customers if they increase production of hybrids and gas-powered cars, which still have a sizable market in the US. Particularly as international competition for the electric vehicle market grows, Tesla, which currently produces a sizable amount of its electric vehicles in the United States, may need to make additional adjustments. Tesla may have to contend with competition from a more regional auto industry, despite its cutting-edge technology. As American automakers get ready to seize these fresh chances, let's examine the wider economic ramifications of Trump's audacious policy. What impact might this have on the overall economy? Economic stress and possibilities. Trump's plan might boost American manufacturing, but at what price to the general public and the economy? Trump's Made in America directive has important economic ramifications for the whole U.S. economy, not just the auto sector. On the one hand, the drive for domestic manufacturing might encourage the creation of jobs, especially in manufacturing, industries that have been experiencing decades of decline. As funds pour into the revival of regional auto plants, states like Michigan, Ohio, and South Carolina may see an uptick. Communities that have been negatively impacted by factory closures and production outsourcing may benefit from these jobs. The financial gains are not assured, though. Car prices will probably rise as a result of the increased cost of manufacturing in the United States, brought on by higher labor costs, regulatory barriers, and logistical difficulties. Customers may encounter noticeably higher sticker prices after becoming used to inexpensive foreign-made automobiles. Customers may decide to postpone purchases or go with smaller, less costly models as a result of this change in behavior. Additionally, as automakers prioritize high-demand, high-profit vehicles to recover increased production costs, consumers may have fewer options when it comes to luxury or niche models. This policy may have repercussions that go beyond auto prices to other sectors of the economy. For instance, as the demand for vehicles, supplies, and parts rises, companies in the retail, construction, and logistics industries may benefit. Other industries, particularly those that rely on low-cost imports, could be negatively impacted. Businesses that depend on reasonably priced transportation options, such as delivery services and ride-sharing, may suffer from an increase in auto prices. Additionally, the potential for foreign governments to retaliate with tariffs or trade restrictions could lead to economic unrest that extends well beyond the automotive industry. Let's examine this policy's implications for consumers in light of the impending economic strain. How will Trump's audacious directive affect regular consumers? What you should know about this: would Trump's policies make purchasing a car an expensive ordeal? Trump's Made in America directive may have both beneficial and detrimental effects on American consumers. Positively, as more people choose American-made goods, the policy may promote a feeling of patriotism. Given the president's call to boost American manufacturing, many consumers might feel pressured to select cars that are fully constructed in the United States. The policy's drawback, though, is that auto prices are probably going to rise. Increased manufacturing costs from moving production to the U.S. will unavoidably be passed on to customers. According to experts, car prices could increase by thousands of dollars, particularly for luxury imports like BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz. The price of popular models may increase as a result of increased production costs, even for American automakers with a presence in the country. Additionally, this policy might limit the range of automobiles that are offered in the United States. As automakers prioritize high-volume, high-profit models, consumers who appreciate the wide range of foreign-made cars may find themselves with fewer options. Sports sedans, luxury cars, and specialty vehicles might no longer be available in American showrooms, giving consumers fewer options. Customers will have to balance the benefits and drawbacks as the U.S. auto industry adapts to this change. Will the possible economic and patriotic advantages outweigh the higher cost of American-made automobiles? Or will customers discover that the policy makes matters worse rather than better? Now that the immediate effects on consumers are more apparent, let's turn our attention to Trump's mandate's wider global ramifications. What is the anticipated response of the global automotive market? A trade war is oncoming. What happens if the world economy is rocked by a single policy announcement? Foreign automakers, as well as governments from all over the world, have responded to Donald Trump's audacious promise to have all cars sold in America made domestically. The The possibility of major disruptions to nations that have historically depended on trade with the US is now present, raising concerns that a global trade war may break out. South Korea, Japan, and Germany have all made billion-dollar investments in the US auto industry over the years. To manufacture automobiles for the regional market, automakers like Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and BMW have established factories in the United States. However, in order to keep costs down and maintain efficiency, these operations frequently rely on a network of international supply chains, sourcing components from several nations. Automakers are rushing to adjust as countries prepare for the possible repercussions. How are they going to handle these extraordinary challenges? Adjust or fail? Imagine being warned to relocate your entire company, or risk being shut out of one of the biggest markets in the world. How would you respond? Trump's announcement marks a dramatic change in the business strategies of international automakers. Longtime international players like BMW and Toyota now have to make the tough choice of spending billions to comply with the new regulation or risking losing access to the lucrative US market. For example, BMW has already made significant investments in its plant in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which manufactures SUVs for the international market. Approximately 60% of BMWs sold in the US are made in the country. But Trump's demand goes beyond simple assembly. It also calls for these businesses to source a sizable portion of their componentry domestically. This presents a significant logistical and financial challenge for high-end luxury models that are currently manufactured overseas, such as the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and the BMW 7 Series. Volkswagen might find it simpler to comply as it assembles more than 90% of its cars sold in the US and North America. As they attempt to further localize their supply chains, they would have to deal with higher expenses. Despite its significant market share in the United States, Japanese automaker Toyota may need to reevaluate its global manufacturing approach, particularly for Japanese-built models. American consumers are starting to feel the effects of these changes as automakers struggle to adjust. What implications does this have for the average car buyer? The dilemma faced by consumers. Could Trump's policies result in the most costly car you've ever purchased? The most immediate effect of Trump's mandate will be felt by American consumers in their wallets. For automakers, the move to domestic manufacturing will result in higher production costs, which will eventually trickle down to the showroom floor. Experts estimate that auto prices may increase by thousands of dollars, especially for international brands like Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. It may be difficult for even domestic producers like Ford and General Motors to maintain competitive pricing. There are other issues besides the rise in auto prices. There may be fewer models available to consumers in the US market as a result of automakers reevaluating their business plans. Previously imported luxury models, specialty cars, and limited editions may completely vanish as automakers concentrate on producing high-volume, high-profit automobiles to offset growing production costs. Conversely, Trump's policies may result in a revival of domestic production, which would be advantageous to US automakers. Businesses like Ford and General Motors may be able to improve their market position and provide more competitive pricing if they can take advantage of the demand for automobiles built in the United States. However, their capacity to satisfy customer demands for affordability and quality will determine how well this strategy works. The bigger question is still, what will this policy mean for the future of the automotive sector and the US economy overall, even as consumers struggle with these changes? A changing terrain. Trump's policy has both promising and uncertain long-term effects. On the one hand, the mandate might lead to a resurgence of American manufacturing, generating jobs, reviving local economies, and lessening reliance on imports. However, the financial burden of such a significant change may have unforeseen repercussions for the auto sector and the overall economy. This policy offers American automakers a chance to regain market leadership in their native country. Businesses with strong ties to American manufacturing, such as Ford and General Motors, could establish themselves as pioneers of Made in America innovation. As a leader in electric vehicles already, Tesla may view this as an opportunity to further invest in domestic supply chains and fortify its American identity. But the obstacles are enormous. The logistical challenges of moving supply chains, the high costs of domestic production, and the changing needs of a tech-driven industry will all be challenges for automakers. An additional layer of complexity is introduced by the push for electric and hybrid vehicles, which necessitates large investments in infrastructure, research, and development. The ability of automakers, consumers, and legislators to adjust to a quickly shifting environment will ultimately determine the success of this policy. Will there be more advantages to increase domestic production than disadvantages? Can the American auto industry step up to the plate and take the lead in global innovation? Or will the industry be forced into a protectionist stance by the pressure of these changes, limiting its ability to grow and compete? The ramifications of manufacturing's attempt to make a spectacular comeback go well beyond the confines of factories. How will the dynamics of international trade be altered by this seismic shift? A new age of business partnerships. What occurs if the balance of international trade is altered by the policies of one country? International markets have already been rocked by Trump's mandate, compelling governments and automakers to rethink their approaches. Countries that have historically depended on the United States as a significant export market for automobiles and auto parts now have to decide whether to abide by the policy or face negative economic effects. Particularly affected are South Korea, Japan, and Germany, which are home to some of the top automakers in the world. These countries have made significant investments in international supply chains that are intended to be economical and efficient. These systems could be upended by Trump's demand that production move to the United States, which would cause tension. On a global level, the threat of retaliatory tariffs is very real. For instance, Germany has alluded to levying tariffs on American goods, possibly focusing on sectors like technology and agriculture. Similar actions are being considered by South Korea and Japan, which raises fears of a global trade war. However, new business partnerships are emerging in the midst of the conflicts. To counteract the disruption brought on by Trump's policy, nations in Asia and Europe may deepen their ties. In the meantime, South American countries with thriving automobile industries, such as Brazil and Mexico, may become important participants in international trade by providing substitutes for automobiles manufactured in the United States. How will the American workforce react to the opportunities and challenges this policy presents as the world stage adapts to these changes? Rebuilding the workforce in America. Is America prepared to handle the demands of a comeback in high-tech manufacturing? The promise of job creation is at the core of Trump's agenda. The goal of the policy is to give workers in areas devastated by factory closures and outsourcing a lifeline by relocating auto manufacturing to American soil. But these jobs are changing in nature. Precision engineering, robotics, and artificial intelligence are just a few of the cutting-edge technologies used extensively in modern automotive manufacturing. This decreases the number of traditional assembly line roles while simultaneously increasing efficiency. The workforce in America needs to adjust in order to thrive in this new environment. Training and education expenditures will be essential. Apprenticeship programs, trade schools, and community colleges will be essential in giving employees the tools they need to succeed in a high-tech sector. Furthermore, collaborations between local governments and automakers can support the development of specialized training programs that cater to particular workforce requirements. There are still issues in spite of these efforts. Will workers who have been displaced from traditional manufacturing backgrounds be able to move into high-tech positions? Is it possible for the American educational system to keep up with the quick changes in manufacturing technology? The answer to these queries will determine whether Trump's plan for a revitalized workforce is successful. Donald Trump's audacious agenda has paved the way for a significant shift in the economy, the automobile sector, and the daily lives of regular Americans. In addition to the enormous obstacles and high stakes, there are also plenty of chances for creativity, expansion, and reinvention. What are your thoughts? Is Trump's policy a risky move with too much at stake? Or will it spark American manufacturing again? Do you believe there is another way to go? Or are you willing to pay more for a car if doing so means keeping American jobs? Your opinion counts, so please share your thoughts in the comments section below.